Hi, my name is Hilary. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm really nervous, but I can do this. I did it once today already. I know I can do this. All right, I'm gonna do this. I have 100 days today, abstinent. I weigh and measure 3 meals from the Grace Sheet without exception. I write it down. I call it into my sponsor. I don't eat anything in between, no matter what, without exception. And abstinence, I practice today, balancing it as the most important thing in my life. And I'm grateful. Okay, I feel like I'm like in a dream right now that this is my life, that I'm abstinent 100 days. I wasn't looking anything for Gray Sheet. I wasn't, I was comfortable being overweight, and I had gotten to the point that I was just used to that was how I was going to live my life. And I always kind of hoped that maybe somehow I could get healthier because I have little kids, but I kind of had given up on like dieting or trying to lose weight. I just was okay being overweight. And so I guess I'm going to try and talk about my experience about how the food was for me. So I grew up in Long Island. I'm from New York originally, and I never had a clue up until I guess 100 days ago. And then as I started to come to meetings to hear parts of my story and phrases and words and things that made sense to me, that like I thought when I came here I just needed, or I could lose weight because my friend lost like 60 pounds. So I was like, oh, how'd you lose 60 pounds? But I grew up and my family was like very like body obsessed, that my parents were like addictive exercisers, that they're in their 70s now and they still run marathons. Like my mom has run over 100 marathons. Like some years they would run 10 marathons a year. They're like professional runners that they made up their own minds that they're just going to run marathons like for their, whatever. But I grew up in like an island that was 5 miles to go around the whole island. So they would be training, or they would always be training for a marathon. So they'd run around the island, and me and my two younger sisters would be on bikes following, with them going around. And so we are always like very active. And my parents were also into like eating healthy, I guess. Like they always bought like a lot of fruit, and we weren't allowed to have like fast food or soda. Like it was, to me, like I didn't know anyone else that, like, my parents were different. Like no one I knew was, running like that or eating like that, and not being allowed to have sweets and stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to say sweets, but so like from a very young age, I think I was in high school, I was writing down what I was eating because I always wanted to lose weight, because I don't know if it was from the area I was from, like, or that it was that my parents, that they placed so much emphasis on like physical appearance, but not so much what you were wearing. It's just more like your weight. And like my grandma would like see me like for my whole life, even like I could see her tomorrow. I'm not seeing her tomorrow, but I'm just saying she would look at me and see, let me see your cheekbones. And she'd want to see like where my weight was, like how, I was doing. And if she said something, I was uncomfortable. And if she didn't say something, I was uncomfortable. And I was just obsessed with like looking good, but I never felt good no matter if I thought I looked good or not. So I guess there was like a lot of stuff going on there with like the food and what I thought about it. And I remember there was like a holiday, and there was like on the bar, there was like this like cake, and I took a piece from the back that I thought no one would see. And then I kept going back for a little bit more and a little bit more. And when they put the cake out to serve, there was like a hole in the back of it. And they were like, who did this? And I was like, so embarrassed. I think I was like under 10 years old. And I remember going to like holiday events with my family that like there was never enough food. Like I would look around like nervous, are people going to see I'm taking seconds or thirds, or like that was like all I thought about. I could never go to like an event to enjoy myself, to like talk to anyone or socialize. It wasn't like, it was just, what do they have? What are we going to eat? And my family also was like very into like, even though they were into like exercising and how do you look, it was also like, where are we eating? What are we eating? What restaurant? We were like foodies. Like my whole family is like,
I
we don't. Thank you. We don't eat to live, we live to eat. Like, it's like when we come in, like when we were in, when I was in college and we would come back to New York, it's like, where are we going to get this? And where are we going to get that? And did you get this? And let's make a day of eating where we're going to go here, here, and here. Like eating was like our hobby. And that's why I'm like, I don't know how this is possible, because my family, it really hasn't changed. Like, not, I mean, obviously nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is me, that I'm doing this now. And for a while I was like scared. I'm like, they're not going to be okay with this, because like eating like was our like, I don't know. And so little by slowly I kind of like let it out that like I'm doing something different, and they know, and like they're okay with it. I don't know. I thought they were going to like not be okay with it, but they haven't seen me. No, actually they did see me one time recently. I did bring us my scale over, and I was doing it, and my brother-in-law was making fun of me, like, you're really getting it in there or whatever, when I was using the spoon. And so okay, so my experience, that's kind of like my experience with the food. And then so I wasn't looking for Gray Sheet, but it just kind of found me. And I'm like recently divorced, and I was home, and I was getting these food packages delivered because I'm Jewish. I was getting these like Shabbat boxes to my house from this like whatever, and they were sending me like all these vegetables. I'm like, I don't eat any of this food, and I'm home alone, and I don't have my kids, and I'm kind of like feeling down and sorry, and there's nothing to do. And I got invited to, I mean, my friend said she lost the weight from Gray Sheet, come to the meeting. So I was like, I heard about that. I was like, that's weird. That's crazy. That's really strict. And she's like, no, 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 just come. And so I knew at the first meeting, if I didn't do something right away, I wasn't gonna come back, because I already had like an idea in my head of, this is like not good for me. Like, this is too hard for me, I said. So I got a temporary sponsor, and I started immediately. Like, I called her and I said, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I was like, but I guess it's a good idea, because it's like me taking care of myself. And so we started right away. And like the first like 6 hours that I like didn't eat, when I would normally just be constantly eating like all the time, like my car, when I gave back my last car, I can't tell you how embarrassed I was with how much food and dirt and stuff was in the car, that I said to my kids, we're never eating in the car again. So I started, and then the first 6 hours of not eating, when I was used to eating, like the quiet that came inside my head was like I was like, what is this? I was like, what just happened? I was like, is this like a thing? Like, is this what happens? So then I knew this was something. I knew this was something, and I was like willing to keep going, that I would do it again, like the next day. And so I had all these vegetables that were every Thursday night for Shabbat were being delivered to my door. And I didn't know what to do with them, because wasn't eating any of that stuff. Like, whatever they were sending me, I was like, all this stuff is gonna go to waste. And it was just like in my fridge. And now I'm going to Gray Sheet, and she's like, my temporary sponsor at the time, or my sponsor, whatever, she's like, well, do you have stuff? And I was like, I really don't feel like going food shopping. But then I feel like it was such a higher power thing that I joined Gray Sheet when I did, because I didn't have to leave my house. I don't know. And like that same week I was gifted a cutting board. So I had all these vegetables. I had a new cutting board. And so I started to do it, and I didn't really like think too hard. Should I do this or not? I just like jumped in, and I lost since June 7th. I know it's not about the food, and it's not about the weight, because it's like there's a bigger picture, which I was thinking to myself before. It's like a food program, but we're not allowed to talk about the food, which is like kind of like hypocritical. But then we're supposed to talk about the food, that like we love our food, but not about specifics. So I don't know. I'm grateful that I found Gray Sheet, because I lost 19 pounds since June 7th. And all I did my whole career of trying to lose weight, it was like gain 10, gain 20, lose 10, gain 20, lose 10, gain 20, lose 10. So every time I thought I was losing weight, it was just gonna come back more. But like that's like the most obvious, like, that's nothing special. But the other thing is, when I came here, I remember I was making calls, and it's like I'm still in the mindset like this. Are things gonna get better? Like, I think because I was so unconscious, like just in the food all the time, that I made so many decisions that were just like my life, like every area of my life had like the fire alarm on. Like I just had like major catastrophes that I feel like I think I'm unique. I think things are, my life is sometimes I'm like, a lot of times I think I'm
You have
different.
identified.
Thank you. And so I would listen and I would ask, I'm like, when you came here, was your life insane? And I have to say that people were like, yeah, and like, just keep weighing and measuring your food. And I was like, okay, that makes no sense though, but I'll just do it because I know something when I put the food on the scale, I know there's something that I can't explain in words. And like, I feel like there should be some sort of explanation, but it's like magic when I put the food on the scale. And I noticed it the very beginning, and people said, I weigh and measure my food so I could weigh and measure my life. And then I started to be able to like learn what boundaries are. Like, I don't know, just so many weird coincidences. Like I had this like parenting coach, and she came to my house in the beginning. She didn't know it was on Gray Sheet, and my kids were having like a temper tantrum, and she's like, what did they just eat? And I was giving them like all this like sugar, whatever, everything I gave them because that was like what they wanted. And she's like, you should get rid of that for their like behavior. And so I did. And because I was like, well, if I'm not, I don't want that in front of my face. So, but I mean, I'm not like strict with them. They're not on Gray Sheet or whatever, but like coincidences like that, like I guess like happened that I was like, oh, okay, so this is like, this is happening. Like I'm doing this. I still am in shock. Like I said in the beginning that I didn't eat dinner yet. And like, I'm okay. Like normally when I'd be hungry, I'd be like crying and like shaking, like I need to eat like now, like this is like an emergency. Like it was an emergency when I was hungry. Like the the internal shaking of being hungry. I don't know. I thought I had something wrong, but nothing was wrong. No, I was never diagnosed with any kind of like I don't know. What do you call this? I guess that's why we call it like a spiritual, whatever it is. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that it's working for me. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna wake up and do it tomorrow. I'm gonna eat my dinner after this. And I'm gonna try not to like overthink the whole thing because this allows me so much time. Like in between meals, sometimes I don't think about food or I'm like, oh, did I eat? Oh, I have to eat again. And that was never the case. It was always while I was eating, where's my next meal going to be? And how special can I make it? And what restaurant? And where are we going? And where are we eating? And I could never hit the spot. You know what I mean? Like I'd be done with my dinner and I want something sweet, but then I'd be done with the sweet and I want more dinner. And then, but now I want more sweet. It was like whatever combination I did. And you know what I was thinking about too? I used to like prepare like these like giant like platters. I was like this like I don't know, I was like into like entertaining, but I feel like I don't know how to put into words yet, but I look in my phone and I look back on the things that like I did just over 100 days ago. And it's like a complete, like, I, I don't know, like my fridge doesn't look the same. You open my fridge and it's not, it used to be like horrible, messy. And now on the weekends, I clean out my fridge and I like things are a little bit more organized than like they were before, you know, and I have like vegetables in the vegetable drawer and fruit in the fruit drawer. And I don't know, it just, I'm really grateful that people take this program so seriously that it's like set up and structured and here for me and people show up and do service because like I definitely need to go to more meetings. I haven't been going to as many meetings when I was doing the 90 and 90. So I'm glad I got asked to speak because I wouldn't be at a meeting right now. I'd be eating my dinner and then, you know, and then I would go to sleep. And I know this is going to help me keep what I have. And I don't want to lose what I have. I want to, a day just for today,
1 minute.
keep my abstinence. So thanks for letting me share.